Jake Morrison turned off the lights in his repair shop and locked the front door. The day had been long and hot. He had fixed 3 broken ships and 2 broken robots. His hands were dirty with grease and oil. His back hurt from bending over engines all day. The space station where Jake lived was quiet now. Most people had gone home for dinner. The fake sun in the station's sky was getting dim. Soon it would be nighttime in their small world floating in space. Jake walked behind his shop to throw away some old metal parts. He had a big yard back there where he kept broken ships and spare parts. It was messy, but Jake knew where everything was. Then the ground shook hard. Jake fell down and covered his head. Something big had crashed in his yard. Very big. The sound was like thunder, but much louder. When the shaking stopped, Jake got up and grabbed his toolbox. Maybe a ship had crashed and someone needed help. Jake walked around a pile of old engine parts. What he saw made him stop and stare. It was not a ship at all. It was something from old Earth stories. Something that should not be real. A dragon lay in his yard. The dragon was huge, as long as 4 cars put together. Its body was covered in scales that looked green and silver at the same time. The scales moved and changed color when the light hit them. 2 big wings were folded against its back, but the wings had holes in them. Blood was dripping from the holes onto the ground. Burns covered the dragon's side. Something had hurt this creature very badly. Jake could see more wounds on its legs and neck. The dragon was breathing hard and fast like it was in pain. Jake's hand moved toward his radio. He should call the station guards. They would know what to do. But then the dragon opened its eyes and looked right at him. The eyes were not what Jake expected. They were not mean or scary. They were smart eyes, old eyes, eyes that had seen many things. And they were full of sadness and pain. The dragon tried to lift its head. Jake could see how much effort it took. The big creature was very weak. Please, the dragon said. Jake almost fell over. The dragon could talk. Its voice was deep and soft like distant thunder. But there was something else in that voice. The dragon sounded polite. Even hurt and tired, it was trying to be polite. Please, sir, the dragon said again. May I have leftovers? I have not eaten in 7 days. Jake stood very still. His brain was trying to understand what was happening. A dragon had crashed in his yard. A talking dragon. A dragon that was asking for food like a hungry person might ask. The dragon's eyes never left Jake's face. There was hope in those eyes now. Small hope. Like the dragon did not really expect Jake to say yes, but was asking anyway. Jake looked at the wounds again, at the torn wings, at the way the dragon's ribs showed through its scales. This creature was starving. It was hurt and alone and asking for help. Jake started to say something but stopped. What do you say to a dragon? What do you do when a creature from stories asks you for food? The dragon waited. It did not move. It just watched Jake with those sad, smart eyes. Jake thought about the protein bars in his shop. He had a whole box of them. He bought them cheap because they were close to going bad. They tasted awful, but they had lots of nutrition in them. Jake ate them when he was too busy to cook real food. Yeah, Jake said. The word came out before he really decided to say it. Yeah, I got some food. Let me get it. The dragon's eyes got wide. For a second, Jake thought he saw tears in those big eyes. You would feed me? The dragon asked. Even though you do not know what I am? Jake looked at the creature again. Really looked? Yes, it was a dragon. Yes, dragons were supposed to be dangerous in the old stories. But this dragon was hurt and hungry and asking politely for help. It reminded Jake of the stray cats that sometimes came to his shop. Scared and hungry, but hoping someone would be kind. You're hungry, Jake said. I got food. Seems simple to me. Jake walked back to his shop. His hands were shaking a little, but he was not really scared. The dragon could have attacked him already if it wanted to. Instead, it had asked for leftovers. Very politely, Jake grabbed the box of protein bars from his office. He also got his first aid kit. The dragon was hurt bad and might die if Jake did not help. Jake had learned basic medical skills in the space colonies. Everyone had to know how to treat injuries when the nearest doctor might be days away. When Jake came back, the dragon had not moved. It was still lying in the same spot, watching him with those hopeful eyes. Jake opened a protein bar and held it out. The dragon moved its head forward very slowly. Jake noticed that the dragon was being careful not to move too fast. It did not want to scare Jake. The dragon took the protein bar with its teeth very gently. It was careful not to touch Jake's hand. Jake could see that the dragon's teeth were very sharp, but it was being gentle on purpose. The dragon ate the protein bar in one bite. Then it looked at Jake again. "More?" Jake asked. The dragon nodded. Jake gave it another bar. Then another. The dragon ate 6 protein bars before it stopped. "Thank you," the dragon said. "I am called Kazeth." "What are you called?" "Jake," Jake said. "Jake Morrison." "Jake Morrison," Kazeth repeated. "You have saved my life today. I will not forget this kindness." Jake looked at Kazeth's wounds. "We need to fix you up. You're hurt pretty bad." Kazeth's eyes showed surprise again. "You would heal me as well as feed me?" "Can't just leave you bleeding in my yard," Jake said. "Besides, I'm good at fixing broken things." "That's what I do." As Jake opened his first aid kit, he wondered what he was getting himself into. But when he looked into Kazeth's grateful eyes, Jake knew he was doing the right thing. Sometimes the right thing was also the crazy thing. Jake was okay with that. 3 days passed since Kazeth crashed in Jake's yard. Jake had moved the dragon into his big storage building behind the shop. The building was old, but it had a roof and walls. It would keep Kazeth hidden from people who might ask too many questions. Jake brought Kazeth food every morning and evening. Protein bars, dried meat, and sometimes fresh fruit from the station market. Kazeth ate everything Jake brought and always said thank you. The dragon had good manners, better than most people Jake knew. During the days, Jake worked on Kazeth's wounds. The dragon's scales were tough, but the injuries were deep. Jake used medical gel and bandages. He was careful and gentle. Kazeth never complained even when the treatment hurt. "Your hands are skilled," Kazeth said on the 3rd day. Jake was cleaning a bad cut on the dragon's wing. "You work like a healer, but you smell like machine oil." Jake smiled. "I fix ships mostly. But fixing is fixing, right? You just gotta be patient and careful." "What happened to make you so kind to strangers?" Kazeth asked. Jake stopped working for a moment. He had not talked about his past in a long time. But something about Kazeth made him feel like he could share. "I had a family once," Jake said quietly. "Wife and 2 kids. We lived on a mining planet called New Haven. Good place. Quiet." Kazeth waited for Jake to continue. The dragon was good at listening. "Pirates attacked the planet 5 years ago," Jake said. "Not regular pirates. These were different. Called themselves the Hegemony. They took people as slaves. Killed anyone who fought back." Jake's hands were steady as he worked, but his voice got sad. "I was off planet when it happened." "Came back to find everything gone?" "Everyone gone. I'm sorry," Kazeth said. "Loss of family is the deepest pain." "Yeah," Jake said. "Anyway, that's when I came here. Started fixing things. Easier to fix machines than to fix a broken heart." Kazeth was quiet for a long time. Then he started to talk about his own past. "I am the last of my clan," Kazeth said. "The Starfire Dragons. We used to travel between the stars in great ships, beautiful ships that looked like they were made of light." Jake kept working, but he was listening carefully. "Dragons do not need ships to travel in space," Kazeth explained. "We can fly between stars on our own. But the ships carried our families, our eggs, our treasures and memories. What happened to them?" Jake asked. "The Hegemony," Kazeth said. The name sounded like a curse when he said it. "They hunted us. Dragon scales can be made into armor that nothing can break. Dragon blood can power great weapons. The Hegemony wanted to harvest us like we were crops." Jake stopped working and looked at Kazeth. "The same Hegemony that attacked my planet?" "Yes," Kazeth said. "They have been spreading across the galaxy for many years. Taking what they want, killing what they cannot use. How many dragons are left?" Jake asked. "I do not know," Kazeth said sadly. "When my clan's ship was attacked, I escaped. I have been running ever since, looking for others like me. I have found no one." Jake felt angry. The same creatures that had killed his family had also destroyed Kazeth's people. The Hegemony seemed to enjoy causing pain. "I'm sorry about your clan," Jake said. "Nobody should have to run and hide like that." "Why do you care?" Kazeth asked. "Humans and dragons have never met before. You do not know me. You do not owe me anything." Jake thought about the question. Why did he care? He could have called the station guards when Kazeth crashed. He could have let someone else deal with the problem. "My dad used to say something," Jake said. "He said the measure of a person is not how they treat their friends. It's how they treat strangers who can't help them back." Kazeth's eyes showed surprise. "Your father was wise. He was a good man," Jake said. "Wish I could be more like him." "You are more like him than you know," Kazeth said. You have shown me kindness when you had no reason to. That is the mark of a good heart. Over the next few days, Jake and Kazeth talked more. Kazeth told Jake about dragon culture. Dragons valued honor above all else. They protected the weak and kept their promises no matter what. Dragon clans were like big families where everyone looked after everyone else. Jake told Kazeth about human history. About how humans had started on one planet and spread to many. About human wars and human peace. About how humans could be cruel but also very brave. Humans are young compared to dragons, Kazeth said. But you learn fast. And you have something special. What's that? Jake asked. Hope, Kazeth said. Even when things are bad, humans keep hoping. Keep trying. Dragons sometimes give up when we face too much pain. But humans, you keep fighting. Jake was fixing a bent plate in Kazeth's wing when the dragon said something that surprised him. Jake, I have a request. What do you need? Jake asked. I want to learn about your machines, Kazeth said. If I am to survive in this galaxy, I need to understand human technology. Jake looked up at the dragon. You want to learn mechanics? Yes, Kazeth said. Dragons are good at many things, but we never needed machines before. Now I see that machines might be the key to fighting the hegemony. Jake grinned. Well, you came to the right place. I can teach you everything I know about fixing things. As Jake began explaining how ship engines worked, he realized something had changed. He was not just helping a hurt animal anymore. He was making a friend. Maybe his first real friend since he lost his family. Kazeth was smart and asked good questions. The dragon learned fast and remembered everything Jake taught him. By the end of the week, Kazeth could identify most ship parts and understand how they worked together. You're a natural at this, Jake said as Kazeth correctly diagnosed a problem with an old engine. I have a good teacher, Kazeth replied. That night, as Jake brought Kazeth dinner, the dragon said something that made Jake's heart feel warm. Thank you, Jake Morrison. Not just for the food and healing. Thank you for treating me like a person instead of a monster. I had forgotten what friendship felt like. Jake smiled and patted Kazeth's big head gently. That's what friends do for each other. Neither of them knew that their friendship was about to be tested in ways they could not imagine. Jake was teaching Kazeth about plasma welders when the alarm started. The sound was loud and scary. Red lights flashed all over the space station. People started running and shouting outside Jake's shop. What is happening? Kazeth asked. The dragon had gotten much better in the past 2 weeks. His wounds were healing and he could move around the storage building. Jake ran to his computer and checked the station news. What he saw made his blood turn cold. Hegemony ships, Jake said. 3 of them. Big ones. Kazeth's eyes went wide with fear. They found me. I am sorry, Jake. I have brought danger to your home. Not your fault, Jake said, but his hands were shaking. He had hoped never to see hegemony ships again. The memory of his dead family came rushing back. The station's communication system crackled to life. A voice spoke in the clicking, buzzing language of the hegemony. Then a computer translated the words into human language. Attention, human station. I am Commander Vextar of the Hegemony 4th Fleet. We know you are hiding a dragon. Give us the creature and no one will be hurt. Refuse and we will take it by force. Jake looked at Kazeth. The dragon's head was hanging low with shame. I should go to them, Kazeth said quietly. If I surrender, they will leave your people alone. Like hell you will, Jake said. The words came out angry and sharp. You think I'm just going to hand you over to those murderers? Jake, you do not understand, Kazeth said. The hegemony does not make empty threats. They will destroy this station to get me. Hundreds of people will die. And you'll die too, Jake said. They don't want you alive, Kazeth. They want your scales and your blood. They want to cut you up and make weapons out of you. The communication system spoke again. You have 1 hour to decide. 1 hour. Then we start taking the station apart piece by piece. Jake started moving around his shop grabbing tools and equipment. We're not giving up. Not without a fight. What can we do against 3 warships? Kazeth asked. You are brave, Jake, but this is not a fair fight. Fair fights are for sports, Jake said as he pulled out boxes of spare parts. This is survival, and humans are really good at surviving. Jake had been preparing for something like this ever since he came to the station. He had seen what the hegemony did to defenseless people. He had promised himself he would never be helpless again. Over the past 5 years, Jake had been building things. Secret things. The storage building where Kazeth lived was not just a hiding place. It was a fortress. Jake activated hidden panels in the walls. Gun turrets slid out. Energy shields powered up. The simple storage building became a military bunker in seconds. You built all this? Kazeth asked, amazed. Took me 5 years, Jake said. I used parts from broken ships, weapons that pirates threw away, shields from crashed fighters. I rebuilt everything and made it better. Jake's hands moved over control panels like he was playing music. Every system came online perfectly. Jake had tested everything many times but never thought he would really need to use it. The building is now sealed, Jake said. Their scanners won't be able to see inside. They'll know we're in here, but they won't know what we have. This is incredible, Kazeth said. You have made a war machine from scrap metal. Not done yet, Jake said with a grin that looked a little crazy. See, the thing about fixing machines all day is you learn how they work. All machines. Even alien machines. Jake pulled out a device he had been working on for 2 years. It looked like a mix between a radio and a weapon. What is that? Kazeth asked. A virus, Jake said. Computer virus. Every hegemony ship has the same basic computer system. I've been studying wrecked hegemony ships for years, learning how their computers work. Building this. Jake plugged the device into his communication system. When they try to contact us again, this baby is going to upload itself into their ships. It won't hurt them right away, but it's going to copy all their data and send it to every human fleet in this part of the galaxy. You can do that? Kazeth asked. About to find out, Jake said. But first we gotta survive their attack. As if Jake's words were a signal, the building shook. The hegemony was attacking. They are using energy weapons, Kazeth said, trying to cut through the walls. Let them try, Jake said. These walls are made from the hull of a battleship. It'll take them a while to get through. Jake activated his weapon systems. The gun turrets outside started firing at the hegemony soldiers. The aliens had expected to find a scared human hiding in a simple building. Instead, they found themselves under attack by military-grade weapons. Jake, Kazeth said, I want to fight with you. Tell me what to do. Jake looked at his friend. Kazeth's eyes were not scared anymore. They were angry. The dragon was tired of running. Can you breathe fire? Jake asked. Not fire exactly, Kazeth said. Plasma, very hot plasma. Hot enough to melt metal. Perfect, Jake said, opening a hatch in the roof. When I say go, you stick your head up there and fry any hegemony soldier you can see. But be careful. They have energy weapons that can hurt you. The attack went on for an hour. Jake's defenses held, but just barely. The hegemony soldiers were good fighters and they had brought heavy weapons. Jake, Kazeth said during a quiet moment, why are you doing this? You could have given me to them. Saved yourself and everyone on the station. Jake reloaded one of his guns and looked at Kazeth. You remember what I told you about my dad? About how you measure a person? Yes, Kazeth said. Well, you're not a stranger anymore, Jake said. You're my friend, and I don't give up my friends. Ever. Kazeth's eyes showed something Jake had never seen before. It looked like love. Not romantic love, but the love of a brother for a brother. I am honored to call you friend, Jake Morrison, Kazeth said. If we die today, we die together. With honor. We're not dying today, Jake said firmly. I got one more trick up my sleeve. The building shook again as the hegemony brought up bigger weapons. Time was running out. But Jake was not worried anymore. He had a plan. A crazy plan that might just work. Kazeth, Jake said. How loud can you roar? Very loud, Kazeth said, confused. Why, Jake smiled. Because we're about to call for help. The hegemony soldiers were getting closer. Jake could hear them cutting through the outer walls with plasma torches. His weapon systems were running low on power. Soon the aliens would break through and it would all be over. Jake, Kazeth said, there is something I must tell you before we die. We're not dying, Jake said, but he was checking his last gun. Only 6 shots left. My people have an old saying, Kazeth continued. In the darkest hour when hope seems lost, the song of stars will guide us home. I never understood what it meant. What does it mean? Jake asked. He was trying to reroute power from the lights to the weapons. I think it means that sometimes help comes when you least expect it, but only if you call for it in the right way. The building shook harder. The hegemony was using bigger weapons now. Cracks appeared in the walls. Dragons have a special roar, Kazeth said, not just sound. It travels through space itself. Other dragons can hear it from very far away. How far? Jake asked. Maybe other star systems. If any of my people are still alive, they would hear it. Jake stopped what he was doing and looked at Kazeth. You mean there might be other dragons out there? I do not know, Kazeth said honestly. I have been alone for so long. But if there are others, the star song would reach them. A hole appeared in the wall. Hegemony soldiers started shooting through it. Jake fired back with his last weapon. Do it, Jake said. Call them. Even if others hear me, they might not come, Kazeth warned. They might think it is a trap. The hegemony has used dragon calls to trick my people before. So what? Jake said, ducking as energy bolts flew over his head. We got nothing to lose now. Kazeth moved to the center of the building. He lifted his great head toward the ceiling. His chest expanded as he took the deepest breath of his life. Then Kazeth began to sing. The sound was like nothing Jake had ever heard. It was not just noise. It was music that seemed to come from the stars themselves. The notes were deep and high at the same time. They made the air vibrate. They made Jake's bones vibrate. But there was more than sound in Kazeth's song. There was emotion. Pain and loneliness and hope all mixed together. Jake could feel tears on his face even though he did not remember starting to cry. The song told a story without words. It spoke of dragons flying between stars, of families torn apart by war, of the last survivor calling out to the darkness hoping someone would answer. The hegemony soldiers stopped shooting. Even they could feel the power in Kazeth's song. For a moment everyone was still. Kazeth sang for 5 minutes. When he finished, his head dropped down. He was breathing hard. It is done, Kazeth said quietly. If any of my people are alive, they have heard me. How long before we know if it worked? Jake asked. If anyone is coming, they will be here soon. Dragons travel fast when called by the star song. The hegemony soldiers started shooting again. They were almost through the walls. Jake had no weapons left. He picked up a wrench. If he was going to die, he would die fighting. Then something changed. The shooting stopped. Outside, Jake could hear the hegemony soldiers talking in their clicking language. They sounded confused and scared. What's happening? Jake asked. Kazeth lifted his head. His eyes were wide with amazement. Do you feel that? Jake concentrated. There was something in the air. A feeling like electricity before a storm. But bigger. Much bigger. They are coming, Kazeth whispered. They heard me. They are coming. Through the holes in the walls, Jake could see flashes of light in the space outside the station. Not weapon fire. Something else. Something golden. The first dragon appeared like a shooting star. It was smaller than Kazeth, but moved incredibly fast. Behind it came another. Then another. Within minutes, the space around the station was full of dragons. Jake counted 20 of them. Then 30. They kept coming until he lost count. All different sizes and colors. All flying through space without ships or suits. All heading straight for the hegemony fleet, my people, Kazeth said, and his voice was full of joy and wonder. They came. They really came. The battle outside was unlike anything Jake had ever seen. The dragons moved like dancers flowing around the hegemony weapons. Their breath weapons lit up space with streams of plasma and fire. The hegemony ships were big and powerful, but the dragons were everywhere at once. Commander Vextar's voice came over the radio. He was shouting orders to his ships. Jake could hear the fear in the alien's voice. Impossible, Vextar was saying. Dragons are extinct. This cannot be happening. Surprise, Jake said into his radio. He had been waiting years to talk to a hegemony commander. Turns out reports of their extinction were greatly exaggerated. You, Vextar hissed. This is your doing, human. Yep, Jake said cheerfully. I'm the guy who fed a hungry dragon and made some new friends. Funny how kindness works out sometimes. One of the hegemony ships exploded. Then another. The dragons were not just attacking randomly. They fought like a team, like they had practiced together for years. How are they so good at working together? Jake asked Kazeth. Dragons share thoughts when we are close, Kazeth explained. We can fight as one mind in many bodies. The third hegemony ship tried to run. It did not get far. 5 dragons surrounded it and forced it to stop. Jake could see the ship's weapons powering down in surrender. This is not over, human, Vextar said over the radio. The hegemony will send more ships. Many more ships. Let them come, said a new voice. This voice was older and deeper than Kazeth's. It spoke with the authority of a leader. Through the hole in his wall, Jake could see a dragon landing outside. This one was huge, even bigger than Kazeth. Its scales were gold and silver and seemed to shine with their own light. "I am Elder Firion," the dragon said, "leader of the hidden clans. We have been listening to your radio signals, Commander Vextar. We know about your plans to hunt the remaining dragons." "You know nothing," Vextar replied, but his voice shook. "We know everything," Firion said calmly, "including the location of your main base, and the fact that you have been keeping dragon eggs as prisoners, hoping to raise them as weapons." Jake heard Kazeth gasp. "They have eggs? Dragon children are alive?" 27 eggs, Firion confirmed. "We will be taking them back now, along with any other dragons you have captured." "You cannot defeat the entire hegemony," Vextar said. "Perhaps not alone," Firion agreed. "But we will not be alone. We have found new allies today. Allies who show us that strength comes in many forms." The elder dragon turned toward Jake's building. "Jake Morrison of the humans, I would speak with you." Jake looked at Kazeth. "I guess that's my cue. Are you ready to meet the leader of all dragons?" Kazeth asked. Jake grinned and picked up his wrench. "Ready as I'll ever be." Jake walked out of his damaged building and looked up at Elder Firion. The big dragon was even more impressive up close. His golden scales caught the light from the space station and made him look like he was made of starlight. "You are smaller than I expected," Firion said, looking down at Jake. "You're bigger than I expected," Jake replied. "But size isn't everything." Firion's eyes showed surprise. Then the ancient dragon started to laugh. The sound was like distant thunder, but happy thunder. "Kazeth spoke truly about you, Jake Morrison. You have courage, and is that what we're calling it?" Jake asked. "I was thinking more like stubborn stupidity." "Perhaps they are the same thing," Firion said. "Tell me, small human, why did you risk your life for one dragon?" Jake thought about the question. Everyone kept asking him that. "Dragons, humans, probably the hegemony too." "Because it was the right thing to do," Jake said. "Because Kazeth was hungry and hurt and asked politely for help." "Because everybody deserves a chance," Firion nodded slowly. "And when the hegemony came for him?" "Then it became about more than just Kazeth," Jake said. "It became about not letting bullies win, about standing up for your friends, even when you knew you would probably die." Jake looked over at Kazeth, who was listening from the doorway of the building. His friend's eyes were bright with pride. "Especially then," Jake said. "That's when it matters most." Firion was quiet for a long moment. Around them, other dragons were landing on the station. Some were tending to the wounded. Others were collecting hegemony weapons and equipment. "We have been watching your species for some time," Firion finally said. "Humans are young and often foolish. You fight each other over small things. You make mistakes." "Yeah, we do," Jake agreed. "We're not perfect. But you also do things that amaze us," Firion continued. "You show kindness to strangers. You stand up to enemies much stronger than you. You never give up hope even when everything seems lost." Jake did not know what to say to that. He just waited for the dragon to continue. "The dragons have a decision to make," Firion said. "For too long we have hidden from the galaxy. We have let evil creatures like the hegemony grow strong while we stayed safe in the deep places between stars." "Can't blame you for that," Jake said. "They've been hunting your people for years." "Yes, but hiding has not made us safe," Firion said. "It has only made us alone. Today one human showed us something we had forgotten. Sometimes the best way to survive is to help others survive too." Firion looked around at the other dragons. "We have decided to stop hiding. We will fight the hegemony openly. But we cannot do it alone." "What do you need?" Jake asked. "An alliance," Firion said, "between dragons and humans. We bring wisdom and power. You bring innovation and hope. Together we might be strong enough to stop the hegemony." Jake's mind was spinning. An alliance between humans and dragons? It sounded like something from a fairy tale. "I'm just a mechanic," Jake said. "I can't speak for all humans." "But you can speak for yourself," Firion said. "Will you help us?" Jake looked at Kazeth again. His friend nodded encouragingly. "What kind of help?" Jake asked. "Dragons are powerful, but we do not understand technology like humans do," Firion explained. "We need teachers. We need someone to show us how to combine dragon abilities with human machines." "You want me to teach dragons how to be mechanics?" Jake asked. "Among other things," Firion said. "Kazeth tells me you are very good at fixing broken things. The dragon clans have been broken for many years. Perhaps you can help fix us too." Jake thought about everything that had happened. A week ago he had been alone. fixing ships and trying not to think about his dead family. Now he was being asked to help rebuild an entire civilization. Okay, Jake said. I'll help. But I got conditions. Name them, Firion said. First, no more hiding, Jake said. If we're going to be allies, we work together openly. No secrets between friends. Agreed, Firion said. Second, we share everything, Jake said. Technology, knowledge, food, whatever. When dragons are hungry, humans feed them. When humans are in trouble, dragons help them. Also agreed, Firion said. Third, Jake said, his voice getting serious. We make the hegemony pay for what they've done. To your people and mine. No mercy for bullies, Firion's eyes blazed with approval. Especially agreed. Over the next few hours, more human ships arrived. Jake's virus had worked perfectly. Every human fleet in the area had received the hegemony's location and battle plans. The aliens found themselves surrounded by both dragons and human warships. Commander Vextar was captured along with his remaining ships. When the hegemony prisoners were brought to the station, Jake got his first good look at the creatures that had killed his family. Vextar was tall and thin with 6 arms and compound eyes like an insect. His skin was gray-green and covered in small spikes. He looked at Jake with hatred. You have doomed your species, human, Vextar hissed. The hegemony has 1,000 fleets. When they learn of this alliance, they will crush you all. Let them try, Jake said calmly. We'll be ready. You cannot stop us, Vextar said. We are too strong. Jake walked closer to the alien commander. You know what your problem is? You think being strong means being mean. You think power comes from hurting people weaker than you? Does it not? Vextar asked mockingly. Nope, Jake said. Real power comes from helping people. From making friends instead of enemies. From choosing to be kind when you could choose to be cruel. Jake looked around at the dragons and humans working together. You picked on dragons because you thought they were alone. You picked on human colonies because you thought we were weak. But you made a mistake. What mistake? Vextar demanded. You messed with our friends, Jake said simply. And when you mess with our friends, you mess with us. In the days that followed, the alliance between humans and dragons grew stronger. Dragon wisdom combined with human technology created amazing new inventions. Ships that could fly faster than light and breathe fire. Weapons that channeled dragon plasma through human targeting systems. Cities that floated in space like the old dragon homes but with human life support and communications. Jake found himself appointed as the first human dragon ambassador. It was a fancy title for someone who spent most of his time teaching dragons how to use welding tools and showing humans how to care for dragon eggs. Kazeth became Jake's assistant and best friend. The dragon learned quickly and soon was teaching other dragons about human technology. He also helped Jake design new defenses for human colonies. Do you ever regret it? Kazeth asked one day. They were working on a new type of shield generator that used both dragon magic and human science. Regret what? Jake asked. Giving me those protein bars, Kazeth said. Your life was simple before I crashed in your yard. Jake smiled and patted his friend's head. Simple isn't always better. Besides, you asked so politely. How could I say no? You could have called the station guards, Kazeth pointed out. Yeah, I could have, Jake agreed. But then I would have missed out on the best friendship of my life. Kazeth's eyes glowed with happiness. Mine too, Jake Morrison. Mine too. As they worked together, Jake thought about his father's words. The measure of a person is how they treat strangers who cannot help them back. Jake had treated a hungry dragon with kindness, not knowing it would change the galaxy. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness have the biggest results. Sometimes feeding a stranger changes everything. Sometimes the right thing to do is also the thing that saves the universe. And sometimes, when you ask politely for leftovers, you get a family instead. The war with the hegemony would continue for years. There would be battles and losses and hard times ahead. But humans and dragons would face them together as friends and allies. It all started with a simple question from a polite dragon. May I have leftovers, sir? And an even simpler answer from a kind human. Yeah, I got some food. In the end, that was enough to change everything.